Praise the Lord, everyone. Thank you for tuning in with Dr. Alicia the Preacha. Okay. God is great and greatly to be praised. I am so happy to be back home to Michigan after a wonderful vacation. To me, this is the official kickoff of my three generations of traveling together. You know, I'm all about family. I'm all about each generation being represented at the table of our bloodline. You know, each generation should have representation at the table of the entire bloodline. With that being said, I want to announce that I had the privilege today to speak with a direct descendant of King Cudjo Lewis. Here in America, he's known as Cudjo Lewis. He has an original African name, and I'm not going to even try to say it because I don't want to mess it up. You know what I mean? I want to respect his name enough, his original African name enough to not even attempt to say it out of my American lips. But here in America, King Cudjo Lewis. Okay? Now, I had an opportunity today, as I just said, to speak with a direct descendant of his, one of his great, 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 however many greats in there, granddaughter. You know what I'm saying? So it was a blessing and an honor. And after speaking with her today, I won't say her name, but she reached out to me and we were able to connect today. And I was blessed by speaking with her. And based on speaking with her, I've made a conclusion. I've concluded that I want to start a new nation of people called the InDirect DeScendants of Cudjo Lewis here in America. I have spent the last 5 years of my life researching AfricaTown, researching King Cudjo Lewis here in America, and curious as to if I'm a direct descendant. I was curious, y'all. I see people in my bloodline that look just like him. I think one of my grandsons looked just like him. It's interesting. But after talking to an official, already proven, unquestionable, undoubt, descendant, I've decided that I want to stay in the indirect lane, meaning that even though everything about me points to AfricaTown, everything about me points to AfricaTown, whether it's through King Cudjo himself directly, a different Lewis member of that AfricaTown nation. To me, it's a nation of its own. AfricaTown is a nation of its own, a living, breathing, direct nation on lockdown. Praise the Lord, that deserves to be preserved here in America. And instead of me wasting energy, time, trying to quote unquote prove that I am, a part of that, I'd rather just preserve what's there, what's already been intact, that's already been growing and moving and shaped. You know what I'm saying? Even though everything about me points to it, by name, by proximity, circumstances, all of that. Regardless of that, I am unproven, undocumented, like an immigrant, you know, and indirect. And why not stay there? Why not have two nations, the direct descendants, people who are easily proven, they already are well documented and, you know, exist. And then those of us who believe we are, but are unproven, undocumented, and, you know, let's just stay our own nation. The indirects, the indirect descendants. There's nothing to prove. There's just nothing to prove. Either way. Either way. Because even within their system, there are questions. There are so many possibilities. There's just so many possibilities. So I'd rather at the age of 56, with the last name and everything about me pointing to it, rather just stay undocumented and build my nation off of that proximity. You know, a nation within the nation, the documented and the undocumented, the proven, the unproven. We can exist together. We can exist together. Most High will always be the one who discerns. He knows who we all are. So I will no longer tamper with the proven, the originals, the well developed direct descendants. I say preserve them, help them grow, keep them growing, keep them alive. As the indirects, we can be more supportive of our own selves and people, by acknowledging who we are, accepting who we are. We can grow as a nation and increase theirs and be supportive of theirs, and, just by proximity. Just because of who they are, we can be who we are. And because we own and accept who we are, they become greater, all by proximity. Like the right side and left side of the body, the right hand and the left hand, the left eye, left ear, right ear. You know what I'm saying? One body, many members. I am so thankful, guys, for my life, my health and strength. I thank the Lord for knowing who I am and for the choices that I make in my life and that I am willing to live out. I love AfricaTown so much that I want it to continue just as it is. And I'd rather be in proximity in loving, peaceful ways as an indirect, thereby support proximity, encouragement, investment. You know, I want AfricaTown to continue to grow strong. And I don't want to take from it, not that I could, you know what I'm saying, guys? I want it to continue by being supportive, keep talking about it, you know, invest in it, find ways to invest, buy it as an indirect, someone who sound like AfricaTown, you know, look like AfricaTown, you know, is in proximity of it, you know, everything about me looks like it, you know what I'm saying? But yet, I'm not there. The whole black migration thing has stripped a lot of us native Afro people of our I don't know of ourselves. It has divided us up in so many ways that's unfair. The West African part of me has dominated my native Afro right on my own land. That's what it feels like. Because before Cudjo Lewis came here, I was a Martin, you know. I had another grandparent, great grandparent, you know, father. And he was already native here. And that's where my grandmother, Danny Martin, came from. And she married a Lewis, someone that's probably from AfricaTown. You know, so if there is a Clemon, Clemon, senior out there, you know, that has descendants from around the early 1900 time frame, and then you know, your West African part of me married a native, last name Martin. So I have no problem with my West African brothers and sisters having land here. I have no problem with it because my Creek side, Martin, my native side of me, understands because my grandfather Martin, my great-great-grandfather Martin, Sam Martin, he married Mary. And I don't know what Mary's last name was, but as I'm speaking, it might be in the obituary. I would have to pull it out. But as I'm speaking right now, she was just known as a crazy black lady or something like that. But he was, you know, a native Afro Indian. I question the word Indian, but we all know what that word means. We're not talking about the 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 Indian today. I'm talking about the Indian of that time. Two different type of Indian situations going on. We're not talking about the Kamala Harris type of Indian, not that kind. Not the Kamala Harris Indian. We're talking about native to this land, the kind that Sam Martin, my grandfather, was. Great, great, great. I just say grandfather. You can put all the greats you want in between, but he's just a grandfather to me. So yeah, I'm so divided, you know. And that's just on my dad's side. That's just on my dad's side. We're talking Indian, native Indian here in America, mixed with West African. And then an unidentified type of crazy black woman. So that's, 3 different types. An unidentified crazy black woman type bloodline, which means she could have been mixed with anything. I mean, we don't know what type of black woman she was. An unidentified, unknown type of black woman named Mary. And then there's Sam Martin, the native to the land. And he owned his own farm. This should be traceable. You know what I mean? Like, now I haven't gone that deep, or maybe I have. It's been some years, I'm a researcher and I can, pull out my old research, of course. But, you know, and then we have AfricaTown. I have this last name, Lewis, on my birth certificate that points to people in that area. I mean, like, my native grandfather, Sam Martin, married to Mary, a black woman, a type of black woman. We don't know what type. I don't know. So, he puts us in location where we could meet a Lewis from AfricaTown. I mean, that's the proximity that I'm talking about. The Native American part of me, the Native Afro part of me, being in proximity to the Lewises of AfricaTown. So, I accept the position that my bloodlines hold respectfully. I respectfully hold and support both lives in proximity. And to be honest, I don't know what all I'm saying exactly. I'm just expressing myself following a phone call, how I want to carry myself, present myself to the world moving forward when it comes to all of my research connected to King Cudjoe Lewis here in America. He has a wonderful story, and I believe that I am a indirect descendant. Indirect descendant. And if you believe you are too, hey, then we are a nation together. Indirect descendants of Cudjoe Lewis. Out of respect and honor of our direct descendants. We're a new nation. It's okay if we're two nations, and our nation exists in support of the parent nation, the original nation. We identify off the rip that we exist because they do. Period. In order for us to claim our West African heritage, the last name in proximity to AfricaTown, we have to accept who we are. Indirect. We don't want to prove anything. We don't need to, don't want to. We respect the fact that they are the original. We obviously are not. And we're okay with it. And we want the original to remain original and to grow big, you know. But we want to grow ourselves too. And we want to feel proud of who we are. And, you know, we're going to just be two nations. Because we are different in the fact that we have our native, some of us have native attachments. Other of us have, you know, other slave type attachments. We're like the second nation. That's what we are. We're not going to call ourselves scraps. We're not going to call ourselves leftovers. You know, the other kids. None of that. We're not going to do all that. We're just going to call ourselves the other nation, the indirects. We know that there is a direct descendant line. We know there is. And we know that we are in proximity to it. We have no question about it. If we have to call them to ask any questions, or if we have to go visit them to get answers, that tells us where we fall right there. And I'm okay with it. I love myself. I love who I am, guys. Some days it is a challenge, but I'm worth every challenge. I'm worth conquering every challenge. You are worth it. We are all worth it. As a second nation, as indirect descendants, we are okay with it. Biblically speaking, we would be maybe like Hagar and Ishmael. You know what I'm saying? Because Ishmael had 12 nations too. Ishmael had 12 nations, 12 sons. He did before Jacob did. I'm just saying. Okay? He did before. Okay? I'm just saying. So I am not going to speak to anyone else in the original, authentic AfricaTown, the direct descendants of Cudjoe Lewis and anyone else up in that nation. I am not going to talk to any more people about whether or not I am real or not. I'm not. I accept the fact that I am in proximity to them. Everything about me points to them. I happen to be mixed with native Afro people too. And I'm not going to deny that part of myself. That's the major part of myself. The major part of me is my native part. That I naturally belong here. And was mixed with slavery. Mixed with West African. Through the last name Lewis. One way or another. One way or another. We were all down there together. In proximity. Spiritually speaking, biblically speaking. So thank the Lord that my research after 5 years has been concluded. So now I know how to advertise myself, my children and grandchildren. We are 3 generations of indirect descendants of AfricaTown. Of AfricaTown. And we love Cudjoe Lewis, you know. We love Cudjoe Lewis, and we hear that there's a bloodline of just straight up Joe Lewises over there in AfricaTown. What up, though? What up, though? Hey, hey, hey. Because we even had different spelling of last name. But in Detroit, that's where I was born and raised, Detroit, we had Joe Lewis the boxer, different spelling of last name. But hey, we take all of, the secondary love and support and joy and rewards over here. We don't care what the last name is. Hey, we are the second nation. And Joe Lewis the boxer, even though his last name is different, we don't care over here. He represents us over here, y'all. Joe Lewis the boxer, okay? Now, all bros, in this second nation, we know they have those interesting histories. We just know that over here. It's a buck wild wilderness living type of nation. We claim ourselves, but we love everybody. We love everybody. And we don't fit in nicely anywhere. And that's okay. It's okay. We love us and we love everybody in proximity. Whether you're native like ourselves, of a different tribe, whether you're considered the white man, or whether you're considered, officially from another country. A brother, sister country. Continent, a whole different continent. We're scattered all over. We're scattered all over. But I love my mixture of native and the mixture that came from slavery called black and white. You know what I'm saying? I have to be proud of all of it. I have to. Because I'm mixed with it all. I'm mixed with it all, and I couldn't deny it if I wanted to. Despite the 3 bloodlines that run through me, there are 3 distinct bloodline types that run through me. And each of those bloodline types has some type of mixtures of its own. It's so mixing. That's how we are in America as a secondary nation to a lot of claimed originals. Very interesting. Very, very, very. But that's where I stand on it. Love you guys. My family, 3 generations strong. We're going to be working on this project. 2 major projects. The first one is the eternal deficit of mankind theory. That is our original product. And then we have a new original product called the Second Nation. Hey, the indirect descendants of AfricaTown. By proximity, whether it's last name, land. Again, the Great Black Migration impacted people like us. People like us were scattered everywhere. Yeah, trying to dilute our experience. Well, my children and I are 3 generations strong, and we are standing up for our right to claim every bit of ourselves. 300%. I want to claim 100% of my native self. I want to claim 100% of my quote unquote white side, and I want to claim 100% of my quote unquote black side, whatever it is. It's 300% invested in this country called America. And can't nobody strip it out of me. I'm just saying. Well, you all be blessed. Thank you for listening to me. Please click like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I love you all. I do. Because Most High loves me first. And I love him. And I am told to love you all as much as I love myself. Treat you all within the range that I treat myself. That's my job. So, between the eternal deficit mankind theory and being indirect descendants of AfricaTown, a second nation, between these two focus, you have Dr. Lesia the Preacha and her kids. Okay? And we are some hood, wilderness, ghetto kind of people. That's just, how we roll. Tootsie Roll, Cookie Roll, all of that. What up, though? I'm from Detroit, y'all, East Side. What up, though? What up, though? What up, though? Hey, hey, boom, shakalaka, boom, shakalaka, boom, shakalaka. Hey, hey, East Side girls, twilly-lee, twilly-lee, twilly-lee. What about me? What about me? Okay, y'all, I'm going way back to my childhood. All right, let me stop. Wilderness life is the life. We are a second nation. A second nation with its own groove. Native is our, foundation. In America, the whole black and white experience is our flavor, really. That's our flavor. We're just all mixed up. And within our mixture, we have our little preferences and stuff. And we be having our little quote unquote race wars and all that. We ain't no different over here, y'all. We ain't no different. Okay. But we all love you. Again, click like, share, subscribe, all of that. Hit the notification bell. And if you want to be a blessing to your girl as she continue to develop her theory and ideas and nation and develop and grow and, build this channel to 1 million views as I did my other channel. Okay. All right. So you can donate to my PayPal, which is Dr. Lesia the Preacha, just like my channel. Okay. Actually, it's THE. My PayPal is Dr. Lesia the THE Preacher. All right. You are blessed. Thank you. Let's keep each other in prayer. Let's continue to grow. And through our connecting here on YouTube, and as we develop products that we can share among ourselves, travel opportunities among ourselves, and figure out ways to, purchase our own land together. I have some friends out in Alaska that want to, build a nation, buy land where people that are, more into the wilderness style living can be together and be free. And I've heard of recently, or, met someone just through social media that's also interested, building, you know, along those lines, learning to accept who we are and not try to fit in other people's narratives. You know, I don't want to have to audition, prove myself anymore. I just want to be me. And I know exactly who I am now. Not that I always haven't or anything, but it takes time to see yourself in your fullness. And not that I'm all the way there yet, but I'm 56, so I'm as close as I'm going to get, you know what I'm saying, than I ever have before. So, again, let me stop rambling. Woo-hoo. Whew. Drink some more water. And I'll be back, guys. I'll be back. So I think I'm around like 20 to 23 subscribers. When I hit 50 subscribers, then I can go live. So I just need, maybe 30 more good subscribers, and I can go live, guys, and don't have to upload videos. Okay. All right. So I love you all. Be blessed. I pray for you. You pray for me.